What's
Yeah, the
up,
camera
guys?
is.
Welcome to episode 1 of Skins in the Game, where John and Tim, which is funny because the names are backwards, talk about sports, mostly DC sports. We're big Redskins fans, but we'll see where the topics take us. So, big things in Skins Nation is the draft. Because of quarantine, that's about all there is. So, Chase Young, you excited?
Well, who wouldn't be? I mean, it seems like an awful no-brainer that if you look at all of his talents and the way he's played, and of course being the top-rated person in the draft, I mean, how can you feel any different? Is what I think. But I guess we'll see. I am very excited, though, to see him on that line with the other guys that are on that line. And then also I was going to mention that I'm interested to see how it affects Ryan Kerrigan, because I think they're going to be paying a lot of attention to the other end of the line, and I'll be curious to see if he has kind of a above par for him year.
Yeah, Chase Young did play on that right side of the defensive line. The left side of the offensive line. Ryan Kerrigan, mostly his whole career, he's played on the left side, the right side of the line. And so, but Montez Sweat played on the left side of the offensive line last year, so they'll be rotating, I'm sure.
So are you getting at that you think that Chase Young is going to be more of a replacement for Kerrigan, or you think it's a rotation thing?
Well, he's definitely going to be a replacement because Kerrigan doesn't have too much longer left.
Yeah, I understand that.
But technically in college, the majority of the time, he played on the opposite side that Kerrigan typically plays in the NFL.
Right, okay.
So.
Because what was the extension Kerrigan got? I thought he got, another, I can't remember how many years. They just gave him an extension. I want to say it was like 3 years, 2 years. So I don't know if that means anything, but it appears that, at least from the Redskins' perspective, is they're thinking he might have a couple good years left in him. But
fair enough. I didn't think they extended anybody, but that could be wrong.
No, because when I heard about when Quentin Dunbar was basically squawking about getting a contract extension or increase, and of course Ron Rivera didn't like that. Right about that same time, they were saying that Ryan Kerrigan was a good team player and kept his mouth shut, and that he ended up getting an extension. I can look it up real quick, but I'm like 99% sure. Like I said, right at that time they were talking about Quentin Dunbar. They were saying that they gave Ryan Kerrigan an extension, and they were saying it's because Ryan Kerrigan kept his mouth shut.
You could be right. I heard somewhere that Ron Rivera didn't want to extend anybody. He was kind of just like, let's see how this year goes. Do you like us? We like you. And then we'll extend after the fact. But that may be for a more broader point, but they re-signed Kerrigan. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. I remember listening to that on, I thought it was the Doc Walker and who's he on with Al Galdi. I thought it was them that were talking about it, but it looks like from what I see.
Over the Cap is a good website for this stuff. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Yeah, I saw his 5-year contract extension that went through 2020, so I know it's not that one. But
yeah, according to Over the Cap, he has not signed for 2021. Just 2020.
Okay, then I stand corrected, but I'm almost certain that they were talking about that is. Maybe I got false intel. So
maybe they're talking about that's what they should do, is that he is a good guy to sign for a longer term. But
it's just strange because I recall the conversation where they were saying about how good of a guy he was and how good to the team he was and how much he deserved it. I can remember. It's strange to me that is not the case. But I mean, I know the internet never lies, right?
Yeah, just like Al Galdi, they never lie. All right.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you though. I'm excited about Chase Young. I'm excited about Chase Young being paired with Jack Del Rio.
Yeah.
That's an interesting pairing for me. So we'll see if he can turn him into the next Von Miller or Khalil Mack. So.
Well, and I haven't really thought about this much, but how did the rest of the? I mean, I know obviously Denver had a great defense, and I don't know that Oakland was as. I know they were top two, but how does the rest of the line? I mean, were they stacked on the front line? I mean, I guess a top two defense you'd have to be, but I'm curious to see, or I would like to be able to find a way to compare the other guys on the line the way I feel like the level of guys that we have on the line are what I believe are high caliber. So to have another guy in there that's going to be high caliber, it's going to be, like I said, I'm predicting that our front seven is going to be scary. So
at least the front.
But
four.
I'm a homer, so
yeah. At least the front four, I agree. The linebackers are a little bit more of a question mark for me, mostly because they're young, except for Thomas Davis. He's obviously old. But Reuben Foster's still not a proven guy in this league. Cole Holcomb's young. Sean Dion Hamilton's young. Josh Harvey Clemens. Like, a lot of our linebackers are really young. So I hope they turn out well. I like Cole Holcomb. I like Sean Dion Hamilton. So, but they're young. So I don't know about that. Whereas the front four, I feel much stronger about them. And even though they're young, they're a better young to me. They're Chase Young. So.
Right. So how long is Reuben Foster under contract for? Do you know?
This is his last year.
Okay.
The Redskins denied his fifth-year option last week.
That's what I heard. I thought there was something about his contract that came up recently, but
yeah, because he was a first-round pick for San Francisco, and when you're a first-round pick, you get that fifth-year option. And when we signed him, we maintained that rookie contract, so we could have given him a fifth-year option, but Ron Rivera didn't. So
is that done? I mean, if he has a great year this year, do they still have an option of extending that fifth year, or would have to be that's done?
Fifth year's gone.
Okay.
You have to decide the fifth year now. So he's
Got it.
done. So, cool.
Yeah. So beyond the first...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I think we were going the same direction.
Yeah. Do you have another favorite pick outside of Chase Young?
Well, there's two that I find interesting. I don't know that I have. The one I guess I'm a little more excited about is Gandy Golden. And I got to be honest with you that my biggest excitement about it is 6'4". And he's got some meat. He's 220 pounds, but he's going to be a receiver like I don't recall the Redskins. I think what was Pierre Garçon? He was only 6 feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time we've had a receiver on the Redskins that was even over 6'2"? Or even 6'2"? I'm trying to recall. What's
I know
McLaren?
Cam Sims was, but he wasn't spectacular. Maurice Harris was 6'3". Woohoo! Yeah.
No, see, I don't remember. That's just how exciting they were. I don't even remember they existed.
You don't remember Maurice Harris?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
He actually did have that fantastic catch against Minnesota. You may remember that, where he was falling in the end zone and he reached over with one hand. The defender was tackling him, and he caught it and rolled over.
That.
Do you remember that catch? Yeah, that was Maurice Harris. That was pretty much the extent of his career here. So.
Yeah. What's the homer line? I've already forgotten his name. So.
No, I agree. I'm really excited about Antonio Gandy Golden, AGG as they call him. So I'm excited about that pick. But I'm also excited about Gibson. So both
that
Antonio,
was my other one.
Yeah. So and then I'm intrigued with Sadiq Charles. Like that's an interesting pick, but not for left tackle. I hope to see him along the line somewhere else. So I'm I'm under the assumption that we are going to draft a left tackle in the first round next year. So
Yeah.
I think that's
I think
the
we need
position
to.
of need.
I was looking about that, and I guess we can kind of segue into the other possibility of them picking up anybody else. But how do you feel about our situation right now at offensive tackle?
I mean, I'm not thrilled. So I actually would like to go sign Jason Peters for a 1-year deal to segue to our next tackle next year in the first round.
Yeah. I saw a name, and again, I was reading yesterday about and it's all opinion, but they said the top 15 free agents still left that are available.
Mm-hmm.
And one I thought was interesting, he's 30 years old, but he plays for the Jets, is Kelvin Beachum. Have you heard anything about him? That I know that they were saying that when he was in the game, which would indicate that he wasn't always in the game, which might be a red flag, but when he was in the game, the team averaged over 329 yards a game. And when I think I'm trying to remember exactly how they worded it, but they basically said when he and/or Darnold was out of the game, they went 0-6, and with him and Darnell in the game, they went 7-1 or something like that. It was a dramatic difference. So I'm wondering if it would make sense and I think his salary last year was like $9.5 million. So I'm sure he's probably thinking, hey, I want to get paid. Maybe it'll be too expensive. But I thought he's 308 pounds, not the biggest guy in the world. But it sounds like, it might make sense if we can get, if it's not outrageous, to get somebody like that that's a veteran that could be our stopgap until they can bring somebody in the draft and get them up to speed.
The only thing I know about Beachum is his Pro Football Focus grade was not very good. I think it was like a 60, like a low 60s in the PFF.
Okay.
Where Jason Peters, on the other hand, was the second highest rated left tackle through 15 weeks last season. He was a
and
82.
And how old is he?
He's old, 38, 37. Like, he's up there.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it would literally be a 1-year deal. Like,
maybe even 6 months.
Yeah.
Can we have you for 2 games?
It's possible. But even if he was 36 or 37 last year, he was the second highest rated left tackle according to Pro Football Focus. So
okay.
even at his age, he was good. But he's even said that he wants to be a stopgap tackle. Like, sign me for 1-2 years until you get a younger guy. So
right.
That's what he's looking to do. And why I want to sign him is obviously with this young quarterback in Dwayne Haskins, you get a veteran to protect his blind side. So I think it'd be a good deal. We have $35 million in cap, so pay him.
Well, I knew we had cap money, and yeah. And I'm sorry, did you say what? How much you think we'd have to give to get this guy, Peters? What?
Yeah, Jason Peters.
Yeah.
It could be up as high as $15 million. I know left tackles are expensive, but his age might bring it closer to 10. But it'll be between 10 and 15.
Right. So there was another free agent. Go ahead. I didn't.
No, I was actually going to say that I wasn't necessarily thrilled with all the other options in the free agents either. But who are you looking at?
Well, and I was again. I will admit it's from a distance, kind of not necessarily understanding exactly where we're at. I think on the defense, the secondary, as I know we've talked about before, the secondary there might be some question marks out there, and they have this guy Logan Ryan, that's cornerback,
Tennessee.
Yeah, and the one thing that I guess struck me as interesting is that he was a former Patriot, which indicates to me that he's smart because that's what Belichick requires. And I was reading that he is a big playmaker. The downside is he has a tendency of giving up the big play occasionally, which to me means he's aggressive. that he makes, he tries to jump routes, and he's wrong sometimes, and when he's wrong, it's wrong in a really bad way. But I don't know. He made 9.5 last year, and I didn't know if that would make sense to bring in. I mean, do you think I won't say solid because I think it's a question mark, but let me say, what do you think is the state of our secondary? And could cornerback help be?
They're young. They're definitely young. But it's not the worst it's been, but we're young. So we have Kendall Fuller back. We have Ronald Darby from the Eagles, and he's only 26. We have what is his name? Just forgive me. We drafted him in the 3rd round. Crap. His name's not gonna come. What's his name? Fabian Moreau. Fabian Moreau.
No. Yes, I know him.
Yeah. I like him. He's young too, and he hasn't proven himself in the NFL, but he's a big body corner, and I think he's going to be good, but I may be just more of a hope, but I like what I see out of Fabian Moreau. So we have 3 corners there, and then we have the young guys like Jimmy Moreland.
I was going to ask
Danny
about
Johnson.
him. I kind of like him.
Yeah,
Jimmy
but
Moreland.
he's more of a slot. He can play outside, but he's so small.
Yeah.
He's only like 170 pounds or something. Like he's very, very small. So he's more of a slot guy. But with Kendall Fuller, he can play both as well. Again, more slot, but he can play outside, but he's not as small as Jimmy Moreland. But they're young. They're inexperienced. So Logan Ryan wouldn't be bad. As I said, I looked at the Pro Football Focus grade. Wasn't great. Mid-60s or something like that. So, but that's probably exactly why. Giving up the big plays, I'm sure that takes a big hit on your Pro Football Focus grade. So, I wasn't necessarily thrilled with him, and that's probably why we haven't signed him yet, because of our defensive backs are so young. But we'll see where they go with that. Somebody that I was looking at is bringing back Will Compton, actually, because now we're moving to the 4-3. I think he's a great middle linebacker, very smart.
What's he doing these days?
He's been bouncing around Raiders, Titans, maybe even a stint with the Rams or something. I don't know. He's been bouncing around. Nothing stuck. And I don't think bringing him as a starter, but Thomas Davis is their starting middle linebacker right now, according to the depth charts, and he's like 35 or 34. So, do we expect him to last all season? Probably not.
Right.
I mean, hopefully that'd be great, but bringing him as a competent backup to him, I think is a good move.
Yeah.
And he would only be like $1 million. Nothing spectacular. He'd be around a veteran minimum. So, but
yeah,
that's somebody I was looking at. But I wasn't thrilled with all the other ones.
Right. Yeah, there was not. Those 2 I picked were just thinking of if those are potential needs, then it's not like there's some great prospect out there that we just have to have. Will say admittedly that the biggest concern I have right now is obviously the left tackle and that side of the line that is critical to keeping your quarterback from getting killed. So I don't know that you can afford to have somebody that's not experienced. And who's right now? Do they have a projected left tackle starter?
Right now, Jerron Christian is slated there.
Yes, and I know he had some, if I recall, started to look a little better as the year progressed, because I know early on, like I said, if my recollection is correct, early on it didn't look like he was going to do very well, and then they were making comments that he had pretty good improvement throughout the year. But yeah, I don't think that you can have he might be a good left tackle kind of a player at your
Yeah.
left tackle position. It
Right.
needs to, and I mean, I guess everybody has to start at some point. I mean, even Trent Williams had to be a rookie and had to be inexperienced. But yeah, that's the one area I think that they're going to have to be creative, or they're going to have somebody really step up that can protect that side. That
And they
is,
might like Sadiq Charles. They did draft him in the third round, so he's a capable blocker. So I don't hate him at left tackle, but I'm still saying we're going to need a left tackle for next year in the first. And because, like, 9 out of the top 13 tackles last year were first round picks. Like, left tackles come out of the first round. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're not floating around in the fifth round when they're too big for no one to notice them.
Yeah. So
if you're a little running back or wide receiver, you could get missed. But when you're 330 or 350 pounds or whatever the average is now, it's kind of hard to sneak through the draft without anybody noticing you. But do you think? I mean, this guy that they drafted though, do you think that? I mean, what if it came down to he has to start? I mean, I guess we'd have the chance to see him in preseason to see if that's feasible. But it would be, I'll say it again, it would be scary for me to have a rookie left tackle and hoping that he pans out to what you want him to be. And, you know, I'm not saying he won't be good, but just having him as the starter on day one may not be the best thing. I don't, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's talented. He was on the best offensive line last year at LSU in college, and he was a big part of that, and at the left tackle spot. And Joe Burrow threw 60 touchdowns with him as the left tackle, did not get hit a lot. So he's good.
All right, well, we can be hopeful. Let me ask you this, and this is the honest question. I don't know out of those, you said that 9 out of the last 13 starting left tackles came out of the first round. Did they start right out of the box? Do you know the answer to that?
Most of them.
Or did they have? Did they? Okay, I didn't know if they were brought in and then kind of built into that position, or if it was okay. We think you're really good. You're there. So.
No, I don't have the list in front of me and more, but I know Ronnie Stanley started out of the gate. I don't remember all the lists.
Well, that's fine. I was just curious. I think you're right. I think that's one of those that if you're good,
you get noticed.
You get noticed, and they bring you in, and they want, you know, you're this big, huge guy. They want you to. You're going to have to lose that position, I think, more than have to earn it. If you're brought in, especially in the first round, there's a need, and they're thinking, okay, we got a good guy or a good player, and they're going to want you to be in there. So that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, that's how I feel about the draft. And I will also add, I'd say this, I know I've said this to you before, that I don't put a lot of weight in any of the grading and all of this. I think it's a certain amount of guessing. And I mean, yes, we have guys that are smart. They've been around football for a long time. But if you look, for example, quarterbacks in the draft and the success rate of the quarterbacks that are drafted, and you have, you know, Joe Burrow is going to be the next Peyton Manning or whatever, and he may very well be. And Tua, you know, he was going to get drafted first, then he fell out of the first round, then he's back up, or maybe not out of the first round, but you know what I'm getting at. That
he dropped.
Yeah, and then suddenly it was like, the Redskins got to take Tua if he's there, and I'm like, why? Because I knew when they drafted RG3, and I'm not sure if I said it to you, but I know I said it at the time, that when they drafted quarterbacks, Andrew Luck and then RG3, I said, you realize that the success rate of quarterbacks is 50% or less. So one of them is not going to be successful, and I was afraid that it was the one we picked. That So, but it's like, you draft 2 quarterbacks, 1 and 2, and the success rate on quarterbacks is 50%. Somebody screwed up by the numbers. But that's why I think that, you know, to go back to Chase Young briefly, that, you know, he's the top-rated player in the draft. okay, there's people that are saying they've never seen anything like him since whoever, whether it was Khalil Mack or what's his name
Von
from
Miller.
Denver, Von Miller. Okay, great, but you know, you never know what. First of all, how they're going to pan out in the NFL, and then secondly, heaven forbid some injury happens, some freak thing happens in preseason, which, as a Redskins fan, has happened to us a lot. Note Geis, Foster. Who else have we had that
Too many
either
accounts.
preseason?
Too many
Yeah,
accounts.
either preseason, the first game done. Then and I know that we've had a conversation.
Foster, I think, was the first practice.
Yes. And he didn't he step on somebody's foot? He did something really weird. It wasn't any.
Tore his ACL.
Yeah, he stepped on. He went to plant his foot and it was on somebody else's foot or something, and he is out for the
his
season.
knee. Yeah. First or second practice.
Right. I know we've had this conversation too about Andrew Luck, and I don't doubt that he was a good quarterback, but ultimately look what the
Colts got out of him.
Colts got out of it. Nothing. I mean, yep, he had a good playoff game. Was he was going to be our quarterback for the next 15 years, and he's the greatest thing in the world. And then they don't win anything. Obviously, never went to the Super Bowl, and then suddenly he decides he's going to retire because I guess concussions. Is that what scared him?
No, just so many injuries that he was tired of rehab. It was an ankle, it was a knee, it was a shoulder. He was similar to RG3, just a walking injury.
Right.
So
I was going to say that maybe we can segue into the last subject here that since we've been talking about quarterbacks, I know you were asking, we've had this conversation several times about who's going to be the starting quarterback day one, and I have my opinion. Do you want my opinion, or do you want to go first?
I think it's going to be Dwayne Haskins. I think they're going to start with him, but I know you think different. So go ahead.
Well, and I mean it's a logical. I think it's logical to think about this, that if we don't know if there's going to be a full training camp and Scott Turner is going to be able to work with Dwayne Haskins or whoever they have as a quarterback's coach. I don't know that offhand. But if they're going to have a full chance to work with him and have a full preseason, which when does that start? Is it like late June or is it July? The training camp starts? Yeah.
July.
Okay. So there is a chance that they'll get the full regimen, and if they do that, I agree with you. I think he's going to be the starter. But if for any reason we have a compressed training camp or preseason or anything, I would not be at all surprised to see Kyle
Smith.
Allen. Smith, no, Allen.
Sorry, Kyle Allen. Yeah.
Okay. Only because he's played with Scott Turner. I did look at stats-wise. He's not. Let me pull this up because I did this the other day and it wasn't like great. Last year, it's not terrible. When did Cam Newton get hurt? It was really early on. Yeah, okay. So he played 14 games. And I'm looking at he's had 3,300 yards, just over 3,300 yards passing, 17 TDs and 16 interceptions. So not a, oh my God, he's a great quarterback. I was looking at Dwayne Haskins, who I saw that they say I'm assuming he played in 9 games because I don't believe he started 9 games. I thought it was the last half of the season. I think he came in at some point, or maybe I'm wrong. Huh?
It should say. What does it say?
Yeah, I didn't look at it, but I thought it was like 8 games. They were like 2-6, and that was when they brought him in. Maybe they brought him in before that, and maybe it was 9 games.
He got hurt, though. Let's see what happens. He definitely got hurt. Game started 7.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, and assuming he came in on two, because what I saw was right, and he played at 9. That means he came in at some point during the game. But so let's say, just for argument's sake, that he started in 7 games. So we take these stats and spread them out against 7 games. He's got 1,365 yards and 7 TDs and 7 interceptions. So, I still hold out hope that he is a rookie. I want to give him a chance in my mind to say that I still believe that I think he can be a serviceable quarterback. I don't think I don't believe he's going to be a superstar, but I do think that he has the capability of. Was it you that made a sort of a comparison to Ben Roethlisberger?
Mm-hmm. If he's going to be good, he's going to have to be Big Ben.
Right.
That's what
I will say that I thought there was a couple times last year where I saw him move a lot quicker than I thought he could, which
not necessarily like an immobile quarterback, but he's not quick. He's not going to shake and bake, but he's got some movement under him. But he also breaks tackles, so that's why they call him Big Ben.
Yeah, he's hard to bring down.
Mm-hmm. Big Ben ran a faster 40 at the combine.
Sorry, I have a browser open that it's got a background.
Was it making noise?
It's got one of these things has a video running in the background. It's some sport, highlight.
They don't hear you.
Huh?
We don't hear it.
Okay, well, it's in my ear, and it's like,
yeah.
I mean, I haven't opened anything in like the last. Okay, I found it. It was it is a window that I've had open all day, and I haven't. It just happened to be why it decided to play some.
We don't hear anything that happens on your computer.
Right. The problem is I was having a hard time hearing you because it was this loud thing in my earphones, and suddenly the crowd cheering and anyway.
Cool.
But so I look forward to the first game. I still remain hopeful that we're going to be allowed to be in attendance in September. I don't know offhand. I've looked at the schedule and I can't recall if that's the first game of the season or the second that we're at home. But I am hoping that there is a full season and that by the time we get into that time that the whole idea of not allowing fans in the stands is past and that baseball blazes the trail for that. So we shall see. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Cool.
So.
All right.
All right. Next time next time you need to get the names fixed right.
Yeah, that's right. Cool.
I don't like being Tim.